FBI says the two teens who carried out a shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego did not discriminate in who they hated. Investigators are examining a lengthy document believed to be written by the shooters, comprised of language associated with nihilistic violent extremism.
So to talk more about this form of extremism and what may have motivated those shooters, we're joined now by Matthew Kriner. He's the executive director for the Institute for Countering Digital Extremism. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so nihilistic violent extremism was recently recognized by the FBI. We wanted to talk to you because most people don't understand what that is. So what is it?
At its simplest form, it's another version of categorization for violent extremism and terrorist activity that tries to capture what is being described as a post-ideological or lacking clear ideology type of violence. When we talk about nihilistic violent extremism, what we're talking about typically is individuals and groups who hate everyone, and their entire goal is to cause as much harm to as many people as possible, as often as possible. But they're fixating in doing so on youth more often than not, both for their recruits and for their harms and violence.
Okay, so there is a recruiting component to this. I'm assuming that recruitment is happening online like we've seen other types of extremism happen?
That's right. In fact, it's almost exclusively online. We're finding, unlike in previous waves of terrorist and violent extremist activity, the recruitment and the activities of nihilistic violent extremists is very reliant on digital platforms, whether it's social media or other forms of forums that they engage on, in ways that even their predecessors weren't able to accomplish.
Very interesting. Okay, so there are, of course, different types of extremism, which you look into. If this lacks a clear ideology, then what does everyone who's categorized under it have in common?
The desire to inflict violence on society and to see it hasten in its collapse. Most of what we're looking at, though, is people who use different forms of ideology in order to appeal to the audiences that they're speaking to online or that they're recruiting alongside or radicalizing alongside of online. In the case of what happened most tragically in the last couple of days in San Diego, these individuals being accelerationist, again, that hastening societal collapse through violence, they indexed very heavily on white supremacist, great replacement theories of white genocide, conspiracy theories. And this is a form of nihilistic violent extremists, and it's by far not the only form that's out there.
Well, that's my understanding is they were targeting a mosque because they actually hate Jews and they want to create chaos and anarchy in this situation. So if I'm sitting at home and I have teenagers in the house and I know that they go online, what do I need to be looking at? What kinds of conversations do we need to be having, so that it doesn't go this far?
Well, first and foremost, we need to be realizing that time online, regardless of what you're being exposed to, is a risk factor that everyone has in common when we talk about radicalization to violence out of a digital space. And when we really drill into what is nihilistic violent extremism, how do we identify when our children and our peers are being sucked into it, we're looking for increased isolation that's abnormal to that person, not just I spend a lot of time on my phone, specific uptake of concerningly strange references to things like Columbine, to fixation on gore and violence content of any type, mass killers and serial killers that's not just listening to podcasts about individuals that are in the public media and culture, but rather things that seem a little bit unusual. Those types of pullback, those types of changes, that's what we're starting to look for when we're looking for individuals who might be poised to go and conduct an act of violence.
Well, and this extremism is so broad, you're going to need families to come forward because law enforcement is going to have to kind of cipher through a lot here. So thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate you diving into this topic.
Thank you for having me.